The red alert light flashed on the bridge of the UEDF Vanguard. Commander Olivia Wright looked up from her screen. She had been reviewing mission reports when Communications Officer Ryan Peters called out, "Commander, we're picking up a signal. It's not one of ours." Wright stood up and walked to his station. The bridge crew fell silent. In the 40 years since humans had started exploring beyond their solar system, they had found plenty of empty planets but no other intelligent life. "Put it on speaker," she ordered. A strange crackling sound filled the bridge. It rose and fell in a pattern that sounded almost like speech, but no one could understand it. "It's repeating every 90 seconds, Peters said. "And look at this pattern here. It's structured. This isn't random space noise." Wright nodded. "Record everything, send it to linguistics, and trace it to its source." "Already did," Peters said. "It's coming from a star system about 3 light-years beyond our furthest colony. The signal is weak, which means it wasn't directed at us specifically. It's being broadcast in all directions." Wright called her second-in-command, Captain Daniel. Martinez to the bridge. He arrived quickly, his normally calm face showing excitement. "Is it true we received alien contact?" Wright played the recording for him. Martinez listened carefully. "It sounds like a distress call," he said. "The repetition, the urgency in the pattern." "That's what I thought too," Wright said. For 3 days, the linguistics team worked non-stop to decode the message. Dr. Lucy Garcia finally called the command center with news. "Commander, we've figured it out. It's definitely a distress call. The message contains mathematical sequences that establish communication basics, followed by what we believe are descriptions of their situation." Wright called an emergency meeting with her senior officers. "The signal is from a species calling themselves the Ardalians," she explained as they gathered around the conference table. "They're under attack by another alien race called the Vex, Dominion. From what we can tell, the Ardalians are peaceful traders who never develop serious weapons. The Vex are conquering their worlds one by one." "Why are they contacting us?" asked Major Frank Cooper, head of security. "They don't even know we exist." "They're not," Wright said. "They're broadcasting in all directions, hoping anyone might hear them. It's a desperate move." Martinez studied the translated message on his screen. "They've lost most of their colonies already. Their homeworld is surrounded. They're asking for any help from any civilization that might hear them." "It's not our fight," said Cooper. "We have our own problems. Food shortages in the outer colonies, the terrorist attacks on Mars last month. We can't get involved in an alien war." "I disagree," Wright said firmly. "Think about what this means. There are other intelligent species out there, and at least one of them conquers others. What happens when the Vex run out of Ardalian worlds to take? They'll keep expanding. Eventually they'll find us." The debate lasted hours. Wright sent the information to Earth's military council. For 2 weeks, leaders from around the world argued about what to do. Some wanted to ignore the message completely. Others wanted to send observers only. Commander Wright was called to speak before the council. She stood tall as she addressed the 50 men and women who would make the final decision. "Humanity evolved on what other species would call a death world," she said. "Our gravity is higher than most habitable planets. Our weather is extreme. We have earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes. We evolved alongside predators that forced us to develop intelligence and tools." She showed them the analysis of the Ardalian message. "These aliens evolved on a world with mild climate, low gravity, and few natural dangers. They never needed to become warriors. The Vex home planet has challenges, but nothing like Earth." "What are you suggesting, Commander?" asked General Helen Rodriguez, head of the council. "I'm saying that we have a unique advantage. Our military technology, developed over thousands of years of human conflict, is likely more advanced than either of these species. We're naturally stronger due to our high-gravity environment. We think differently because we evolved as both predator and prey." Martinez stepped forward to join her. "The Ardalians are facing extinction. We have the power to help them. And in doing so, we might gain allies and learn about technologies we haven't discovered yet. Or we might start a war with an unknown enemy," Cooper argued. "An enemy that could follow us back to Earth. If the Vex are methodically conquering their region of space, they'll eventually find us anyway," Wright countered. "Better to meet them on our terms with potential allies than wait for them to reach Earth." The council voted after 3 more days of discussion. It was close, but in the end, they decided to send help. Not a full battle fleet, but 5 advanced warships led by the UEDF Vanguard. Commander Wright gathered her crew for the announcement. Over 300 men and women filled the ship's main hall. "We've been chosen for humanity's most important mission yet," she told them. "We will travel beyond our explored space to make first contact with the Ardalians and assess the threat of the Vex Dominion. This is not just about saving another species, it's about the future of humanity." She looked at their faces, some excited, some afraid, all determined. "We leave in 48 hours. This will be the furthest any human ships have traveled. We don't know exactly what we'll find, but we go as representatives of Earth. The Ardalians send out a cry for help. We will answer." As the crew prepared the ship, Wright stood at the observation deck looking out at the stars. Martinez joined her. "Are you having second thoughts?" he asked. "No," she said. "But I'm thinking about what first contact means. All of human history we've wondered if we're alone. Now we know we're not. And our first step into the galactic community will be as warriors." "As protectors," Martinez corrected. "There's a difference." Wright nodded. "Let's hope the Ardalians see it that way." The 5 ships of the Human Expeditionary Force launched 3 days later. As the faster-than-light engines engaged, humanity took its first real step into the wider galaxy. They were heading toward a war they didn't start, to help aliens they had never met, armed with the strength that came from evolving on a world that had never made survival easy. The Deathworlders were coming. After 3 weeks of faster-than-light travel, the 5 human ships reached the edge of Ardalian space. Commander Wright called the senior officers to the bridge as they dropped back to normal speed. "Sensors up. Full defensive screens," she ordered. "We don't know what we're flying into." The main screen showed a star system with 7 planets. Debris floated everywhere, the remains of destroyed ships and space stations. "Life signs?" Wright asked. "Multiple readings from the 3rd planet," replied Science Officer Ben Riley. "And I'm picking up ships in orbit, 2 different configurations." Lieutenant Samantha Cole, the fleet's language expert, studied the sensor data. "Based on the signal patterns, the larger ships match what we know about the Vex. The smaller ones should be Ardalian vessels. They're fighting," Martinez said, pointing to flashes of light near the planet. "The Ardalians are losing badly." Wright made her decision quickly. "Take us in. Alert medical to prepare for possible casualties. I want to establish contact with the Ardalian command." As they approached the planet, they got their first look at the 2 alien species ships. The Ardalian vessels were sleek and beautiful, with curved lines that reminded Wright of sailboats on Earth's oceans. But many were damaged, with dark holes torn in their sides. The Vex ships were blocky and practical, bristling with weapons. "The Vex ships are turning toward us," Security Chief Paul Wilson reported. "They're scanning us." "Let them look," Wright said calmly. "Lieutenant Cole, have you made contact with the Ardalians?" Cole nodded, her fingers moving quickly over her console. "Yes, Commander. They're responding, but they seem confused. I don't think they expected anyone to answer their distress call." "Put them on screen," Wright ordered. The image showed a control room similar to the Vanguard's bridge, but the beings operating it were clearly not human. The Ardalians were tall and thin, with 4 arms and smooth, pale blue skin. Their large eyes blinked in surprise at seeing humans. One Ardalian stepped forward. Unlike the others who wore simple uniforms, this one had elaborate markings on its clothing. "I am Ambassador Zelix of the Ardalian Union," it said, its words translated by Cole's computer program. "Who are you, and why have you come to our system?" I am Commander Olivia Wright of the United Earth Defense Force," Wright replied. "We received your distress call and came to offer assistance." The ambassador's eyes widened. "You understood our emergency broadcast, and you came from another star system to help us? Why would you do this?" "Because you asked for help," Wright said simply. "We've never met other intelligent life before, but we couldn't ignore your call." Before the ambassador could respond, alarms sounded on both ships. "Vex vessels approaching," Wilson warned. 6 of them, Combat formation. Ambassador. Wright said urgently, we need to meet. Our ships can defend themselves, but I need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. Yes, Zelix agreed. You can dock with our command ship. Hurry. 2 hours later, Wright, Martinez, Cole, and Wilson sat in a meeting room aboard the Ardalian command ship. The gravity was lighter than Earth's, making the humans feel like they could jump to the ceiling with little effort. Ambassador Zelix entered with several other Ardalians. They moved gracefully in the low gravity, making the humans seem clumsy, by comparison. We never thought anyone would respond, Zelix said. Our scientists said the chance of other life existing was very small, and when we sent the distress call, it was out of desperation. Wright nodded. We've only recently developed technology to travel between stars. Your message reached one of our outposts by chance. The Vex found us 20 years ago, Zelix explained. At first they seemed friendly. They traded with us. Then they began taking our outer colonies. When we protested, they attacked in force. Why didn't you fight back? Wilson asked. The Ardalians looked at each other sadly. We have few weapons, Zelix said. Our world has gentle weather, no large predators, and abundant resources. Our society focused on art, science, and trade. We never needed to develop strong military technology. Wright understood then why the Ardalians were losing so badly. They were like sheep facing wolves. Tell us about the Vex, she said. They come from a world harsher than ours, but still comfortable by most standards, Zelix replied. They value efficiency and expansion above all else. They take what they want from other worlds. As they talked, Martinez received a message from the fleet. Commander, the Vex have sent a communication. They demand to know who we are and why we're interfering. Let them wait, Wright said. I want to see Ardalian technology first. Maybe we can help improve your defenses. Fleet engineer Alan Foster joined them and spent hours examining Ardalian systems. He returned looking both impressed and concerned. Their basic technology is advanced in many ways, he reported. Their faster-than-light communication is better than ours. Their medical technology is amazing. They can regrow limbs and cure diseases we still struggle with. But their weapons? Wright asked. Primitive, Foster said. Their shields can't handle concentrated fire. Their weapons are designed to disable, not destroy. It's like they never considered they might need to fight a real war. While they talked, the Vex launched an attack on an Ardalian outpost near the edge of the system. Wright watched on the monitors as civilian ships tried to evacuate. Those are families, Zelix said, distress in his voice. Children. Captain Martinez stood up suddenly. Commander, request permission to take the Defender to assist the evacuation. Wright hesitated. They had orders to assess, not engage, but watching innocent civilians being attacked went against everything she believed in. Go, she said. Defensive actions only. Protect the civilian ships. Martinez left quickly. 20 minutes later, they watched as the UEDF Defender positioned itself between the Vex attackers and the fleeing Ardalian ships. When the Vex fired anyway, the Defender returned fire. The human weapons cut through the Vex shields with ease. 2 enemy ships were badly damaged before they retreated. The Ardalian civilians escaped safely. Ambassador Zelix stared at the screen in shock. One of your ships drove off 4 Vex vessels? How is this possible? Wright explained about Earth, its high gravity, extreme weather, and violent history. She told them how humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other, developing ever more effective weapons before finally achieving peace. Our world shaped us, she said. It made us strong because we had to be strong to survive. The Vex will return with more ships, Zelix warned. They've conquered 6 other species. They won't stop because of one defeat. Wright looked at her team. They had come to help. But now they faced a full-scale war against an enemy with far more ships. Returning to Earth for reinforcements would take too long. Then we'll have to work with what we have, she said. Your technology and our combat experience. Ambassador, we need to prepare your people for war. The Vex will be back within 3 days, Major Lisa Patel said, pointing to the tactical display. They're gathering their forces here at the edge of the system. Commander Wright nodded. The situation looked bad. The humans had 5 ships. The Ardalians had 23 vessels still able to fight, though most had damage. Against them, the Vex were bringing at least 50 warships. "We can't win a direct battle," Wright said. "We need to think differently." They were meeting in the war room of the Ardalian Command Center. Ambassador Zelix and his military advisors sat across from the human officers. The difference between the two groups was striking. The Ardalians seemed nervous, their forehands constantly moving. The humans were calm, focused on the problem. "Major Patel, what advantages do we have?" Wright asked. Patel stood up. As the fleet's tactical officer, she had spent days studying both alien species. "3 main advantages," she said. "First, our physical strength. Earth's gravity is 1.4 times stronger than the Ardalian homeworld and 1.2 times stronger than the Vex planet. We're naturally more durable." She displayed images comparing the internal biology of all 3 species. Human bones are denser, our muscles are stronger, even our skin is tougher. Second advantage, our combat experience. Earth has thousands of years of military history. We've developed strategies the Vex have never seen. And third, Wright asked. "Unpredictability," Patel said. "The Vex expect enemies to either surrender or fight conventionally. They've never faced an enemy who thinks like humans do." Captain Martinez spoke up. "Can we train the Ardalians to fight better? With the time we have?" "Not really," Patel admitted. "But we can teach them to support our ships, and we can help improve their vessels." Engineer Foster had been working with Ardalian scientists. "We've found ways to strengthen their shields by 30%, he reported, "and we can modify their communication systems to disrupt Vex targeting." Wright turned to Security Chief Paul Wilson. "What about ground forces? If the Vex break through, they'll land troops." Wilson had been training with Ardalian security teams. "Their soldiers aren't used to combat," he said. "But they learn quickly. I've been teaching them Earth fighting techniques. In their lower gravity, our people can do things that seem impossible to them." Ambassador Zelix watched the humans with fascination. "You speak of war so calmly," he said, "as if it's natural." "For humans it is," Wright replied gently. "We evolved as both predator and prey. Fighting is in our history, even though we found peace among ourselves. The Vex fight because they want power," Martinez added. "We fight to protect. That's the difference." For the next 2 days, the combined fleet prepared. Foster and his engineering team worked non-stop, modifying Ardalian ships. Wilson trained security teams. Lieutenant Gregory Bell, the fleet's intelligence officer, worked on hacking Vex communications. "I think I've got it," Bell announced on the morning of the 3rd day. "Their encryption is advanced but rigid. I can't understand their language yet, but I can track their ship movements." This was a crucial breakthrough. Now they would know where the Vex fleet was at all times. Wright gathered the human and Ardalian commanders for a final briefing. "We can't match their numbers or firepower," she said. "So we won't try to. Instead, we'll use guerrilla tactics." She outlined her plan. The Ardalian homeworld had 3 moons and a dense asteroid belt. Perfect places to hide ships and launch surprise attacks. "We'll split into small groups," she explained. "Hit their ships, then disappear before they can respond. Never stay in one place, never engage their full force." The Ardalian commanders looked doubtful. This wasn't how they understood space combat, but after seeing how easily the Defender had handled Vex ships, they were willing to try. As everyone prepared for their assignments, Wright took a moment alone with Martinez. "This is going to be close," she said quietly. Martinez nodded. "The Vex Admiral might be smarter than we hope. If this works, we change everything for the Ardalians," Wright said. "If it fails, Earth might never know what happened to us." "No pressure then," Martinez said with a small smile. The warning came at dawn the next day. Bell's monitoring system picked up Vex communications. "They're entering the system," he reported. 53 ships in attack formation. "All units to positions," Wright ordered. "Remember the plan, no heroics." The human ships each led a small group of Ardalian vessels. Wright commanded the vanguard with 5 Ardalian ships. Martinez took the defender with 4 more. The other, 3 human ships each had similar groups. As the Vex fleet approached the planet, they sent a message demanding immediate surrender. Wright ignored it. The first attack came as the Vex passed the outer moon. 3 small groups of ships launched from hiding places among the craters. They struck the edges of the Vex formation, destroying 2 ships and damaging 3 more before quickly retreating. The Vex Admiral Craxus was furious. He ordered his ships to pursue, but the attackers vanished among the asteroids. They're splitting. Their fleet, Bell reported, monitoring the Vex communications. 20 ships continuing toward the planet, the rest searching the moons and asteroids. Perfect, Wright said. This was exactly what she wanted. The next phase of the battle unfolded over 6 hours. Small groups would attack, then disappear. The human ships led the most dangerous assaults, their superior weapons causing significant damage. The modified, Ardalian vessels provided support, their improved shields holding against Vex weapons better than expected. Admiral Craxus grew increasingly frustrated. His orderly battle plan was falling apart. His ships were taking damage while barely seeing their enemies. They're changing formation, Bell announced. All Vex ships are pulling into a tight defensive sphere. Wright smiled. They're getting nervous. Major Patel, is it time for Operation Thunderstrike? Patel nodded. They're in perfect position. Operation Thunderstrike was the riskiest part of Wright's plan. All 28 Allied ships would attack simultaneously from different directions. Each had been assigned specific targets and escape routes. All ships, this is Commander Wright. Begin Thunderstrike on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. From 12 different locations, the human and Ardalian ships emerged. They struck the Vex, formation from all sides at once. The Vex ships tried to respond, but they couldn't target in so many directions at once. The vanguard led the assault on the Vex flagship, a massive vessel twice the size of any other. Foster's modifications allowed the Ardalian ships to briefly overcharge their shields, giving them enough protection to get close. Target their main weapons array, Wright ordered. Fire! The combined firepower of the vanguard and its Ardalian escorts tore through the flagship's defenses. As the flagship's weapons went offline, Security Chief Wilson led a daring mission. A small shuttle carrying 20 human soldiers launched from the vanguard, heading for the Vex ship's docking bay. Boarding team away, Wilson reported. We're going in. This was the most dangerous part of the plan. If Wilson's team could capture Admiral Craxus, the Vex fleet might fall into confusion. If they failed, 20 of their best people would be lost. As the battle raged around them, Wright watched the shuttle disappear into the enormous Vex flagship. Now they could only wait and continue fighting. Keep the pressure on, she ordered. Don't let them regroup. The future of the Ardalian people hung in the balance. Inside the Vex flagship, Security Chief Paul Wilson led his team through dark corridors. The 20 human soldiers moved quickly despite the unfamiliar layout. Remember, we need Admiral Craxus alive, Wilson whispered. Bell's intel puts the Bridge 3 levels up. The humans had an advantage the Vex never expected. In the ship's lower gravity, they could move faster and jump higher than the Vex soldiers were prepared for. When they encountered guards, the fights ended quickly. These Vex aren't used to hand-to-hand combat, Wilson realized. They rely too much on their technology. Meanwhile, the battle outside continued to rage. The vanguard and its Ardalian escorts kept the Vex flagship occupied while Wilson's team worked their way deeper into the enemy ship. On the vanguard's bridge, Commander Wright watched the tactical display. Lieutenant Bell was working frantically at his station. I'm disrupting their internal communications, he reported. The Vex can't coordinate their defense. Wright nodded. Keep it up. How's Martinez doing? Martinez and the Defender were leading the attack on the Vex's secondary command ships. Without orders from the flagship, these vessels were becoming disorganized. The Defender just disabled another Vex cruiser, Patel reported. Martinez is using the moon's gravity to slingshot his ships into attack position. The Vex targeting systems can't adjust fast enough. For the first time since the battle began, Wright allowed herself to feel a small hope. Their plan was working better than expected. The superior Vex numbers meant little when they couldn't bring their full force to bear against the nimble human Ardalian teams. Aboard the Vex flagship, Wilson's team reached the main corridor leading to the bridge. 2 large security doors blocked their path. "Charges," Wilson ordered. His explosives expert, Sergeant Nina Rivera, placed small devices on the door hinges. "Fire in the hole," she warned. The charges made a muffled thump rather than a loud explosion, but they did their job. The doors fell inward. Wilson led the charge onto the bridge. The Vex officers were tall and muscular, with gray skin and 4 eyes. They reached for weapons, but the humans were faster. "Nobody move," Wilson shouted, his rifle aimed at the largest Vex, who wore an elaborate uniform. "Admiral Craxus, I presume?" The Vex admiral stood rigidly, his 4 eyes blinking in shock. He had never expected enemies to board his ship, let alone reach the bridge. "How dare you?" Craxus said, his translator making his voice sound metallic. "You primitive creatures cannot comprehend the power of the Vex Dominion." "This primitive creature just captured your bridge," Wilson replied. "And my primitive friends out there are destroying your fleet. I suggest you order your ships to stand down." Craxus laughed, a harsh sound. "My captains will never surrender. They will fight to the death." "That can be arranged," Wilson said coldly. "But I think you value your life more than that." Outside, the battle had turned decisively. Without coordination from the flagship, the Vex ships were fighting individually. The human-led forces, in contrast, worked together flawlessly. Martinez executed a daring attack run, bringing the defender directly through the Vex formation. 3 enemy ships exploded in his wake. "Commander," Bell called out on the Vanguard, "I'm picking up a transmission from the flagship. It's Wilson." "Put him through," Wright ordered. Wilson's voice came through with static. "Commander, we have Admiral Craxus. The bridge is secure, but he refuses to order his fleet to surrender." Wright considered her options. "Put the Admiral on." Craxus's harsh voice filled the Vanguard's bridge. "Who speaks?" "Commander Olivia Wright of Earth." "Your position is hopeless, Admiral. Surrender." "Your fleet now, or we will destroy it ship by ship." "The Vex Dominion does not surrender," Craxus replied. "My death will change nothing." Wright nodded to Bell, who understood her plan immediately. He began broadcasting on all Vex channels. "Attention all Vex vessels," Wright said. "Your admiral has been captured. Your flagship is under our control. Look around you. Already 15 of your ships have been destroyed. We offer you one chance to withdraw from this system and never return." For long moments, there was silence. Then the Vex ships began to break formation. Without their admiral's leadership, the chain of command was failing. "They're retreating," Patel reported with amazement. "All remaining Vex ships are moving away from the planet." Wright allowed herself a smile. "Keep monitoring them. Make sure they leave the system entirely." Back on the flagship, Wilson kept his weapon trained on Admiral Craxus. "Your fleet is abandoning you," he said. "The great Vex Dominion doesn't seem so loyal after all." Craxus stared at the tactical display in disbelief. "Impossible. We have never been defeated." "There's a first time for everything," Wilson replied. When the last Vex ship had jumped to faster-than-light speed, Wright ordered Martinez to bring the Defender alongside the captured flagship. She would personally take control of the prize. Hours later, the human and Ardalian leaders gathered on the Ardalian homeworld. The beautiful city had tall, graceful buildings with gardens growing up their sides. In the central plaza, crowds of Ardalians gathered to see the aliens who had saved them. Ambassador Zelix led Wright and her officers to a platform where the Ardalian Council waited. The council members were older than most Ardalians they had met. Their blue skin faded to a pale azure. "Commander Wright," the head counselor said, "there are no words to express our gratitude. You came when no one else would. You fought when we could not." Wright bowed slightly. "We answered your call because it was the right thing to do." "Your ER. People are warriors unlike any we have seen," the counselor continued. "The Vex have conquered 6 other species, yet you defeated them with just 5 ships. Not just our ships," Wright corrected. "This was a joint victory. Your people fought bravely. But it was your strategy, your strength that made the difference," Zelix said. "Now other worlds that suffered under the Vex are calling us. Word of this victory is spreading quickly. Wright realized what this meant. Humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, by defeating a powerful enemy that had conquered multiple worlds. "What will you do with Admiral Craxus?" Martinez asked. "He will stand trial for his crimes against the Ardalian people," the counselor said, "as well as his crimes against the other species the Vex enslaved." Wright nodded. "Justice, not revenge," she approved. "And what of Earth?" Zelix asked. "Will you establish formal relations with the Ardalian Union?" "That's my recommendation," Wright said. "Our worlds can learn much from each other." The counselor stepped forward, holding a small crystal sphere. "This contains the names of everyone who fought in the battle, human and Ardalian. It will be displayed in our Hall of Remembrance for all time." Wright accepted the gift with honor. As the ceremony ended, she stood with Martinez looking out over the Ardalian city. The sunset turned the sky purple and gold. "So," Martinez said, "not bad for our first contact with alien life." Wright smiled. "We came a long way to answer an SOS, and replied with force," Martinez added. "Not just force," Wright corrected. "With protection. That's the difference between us and the Vex." The news of what happened here would soon reach Earth. Humanity's first step into the wider galaxy had been as defenders, not conquerors. The Ardalians had sent out a desperate call for help into the darkness of space, and the Deathworlders had answered. The galaxy would never be the same again.